So today's topic is sure to be a controversial one. I mean, these topics usually are. It's an opinion-based piece, and I really wanted to share mine. It's something that I've thought about for 7 years now, and as always, I'm excited to see the comment section afterwards. The year was 2018. The gaming world was on fire as two of the most anticipated titles of the decade, God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, went head-to-head at the Game Awards. When the dust settled, God of War took home the coveted Game of the Year award, leaving fans divided and debates raging on for years. And even now, the question still lingers: did the right game win? Let me be clear right off the bat, I'm not here to hate on God of War. It's a masterpiece, and if you're a fan of the franchise, I totally get why you'd stand by its win. But today, I'm going to explain why I believe Red Dead Redemption 2 was the true Game of the Year. To me, Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't just another game. It was a revolutionary step forward for storytelling, immersion, and the open world genre as a whole. Both of these two games set examples in the gaming world, and so many other studios have gone on to take ideas from both of them. In this video, I'm going to try to explain why I think Red Dead Redemption 2 should have won the Game of the Year award in 2018. I will explain all the reasons why I believe this is the case, but God of War fans, don't be upset, as I will also be covering that game and explaining how important that game was as well for the industry. But without further ado, let's get into it and try to answer the question: was 2018's Game of the Year the biggest tragedy in gaming history? Quick side note, I'm Av Gaming and I make video game content, from analysis, news, reviews, interviews, and everything game related. If that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button. Alright, let's get into it. First, let's talk about 2018 as a whole, because wow, what a year that was for games. We had Spider-Man, Celeste, Monster Hunter World, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, God of War, and then Red Dead Redemption 2. All heavy hitters in their own right. Each brought something special to the table, from Celeste's emotional platforming to Spider-Man's fluid web-slinging mechanics. But let's be real, the battle for Game of the Year was always going to come down to two titles: God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2. Both were not just critically acclaimed, but deeply loved by fans. They were ambitious, stunningly polished, and brimming with heart. The question is, what tipped the scales in God of War's favour? And more importantly, does that mean it truly deserved to win? To answer that, we need to break down what made each game special. So let's start with Red Dead Redemption 2, because for me, it wasn't just a game, it was an experience. At the heart of Red Dead Redemption 2 is Arthur Morgan. He's not your typical protagonist. He's flawed, he's complicated, and he's so deeply human that you can't help but care about him. Watching Arthur wrestle with his loyalty to Dutch and his own moral compass as the gang falls apart was heartbreaking. By the time the credits rolled, Arthur wasn't just a character. He felt like a real person, someone whose story stuck with me long after the game was finished. After Red Dead Redemption 1 came out, fans came to love John Marston and considered him one of the greatest protagonists in gaming history. When it was announced that the main character would be changing in the sequel, many fans vented frustration. At a certain point in Red Dead Redemption 2, the player would switch from Arthur and then play as John full time. These same fans were now upset that they could no longer play as Arthur. That's how incredible this main character was. He was vulnerable, funny, witty, also pretty laid back at times. He was the perfect character for a player to mould into whoever they wanted to in their playthrough. Whether he was played as a gunslinging hero or a rebellious criminal, his story still left a huge impression on players. Somehow, Rockstar created one of the greatest main characters of all time, yet again. And it's not just Arthur, the entire cast is incredible. Dutch van der Linde is one of the most fascinating antagonists that I've ever seen in a game. A charismatic leader whose charm and vision slowly unravel as his desperation grows. Then there's Sadie Adler, who went from a grieving widow to an absolute badass. And then John Marston, whose journey ties the whole story back to the first game. Even smaller characters like Charles, Hosea, and Tilly, they all had depth and made the world feel alive. But what set Red Dead Redemption 2 apart was its world. Rockstar didn't just create an open world, they created a living, breathing ecosystem. Animals behave realistically, townsfolk remember your actions, and every inch of the map feels handcrafted. You can get lost in the forests of Roanoke Ridge, stumble across a hermit in the swamps of Lemoyne, or ride through the snow-covered mountains of Ambarino. The attention to detail is mind-blowing. And let's talk about the little things. Arthur's beard and his hair grows in real time. His clothes get dirty in the mud, or they frost over in the cold. NPCs react to you based on your actions. Help a stranger and they might thank you later. Rob them and they'll remember your face. These touches might seem small, but together they make the game feel like you're living in a real world rather than just playing one. There are videos online that just show all the little details added to this game. Carcasses rot over time and you can see all of its stages, and then predators would come and eat the remains. The water would move with the wind. NPCs would sit at a table and eat real food bite by bite until the plate was clear. They would work and you could actually see the construction taking place. Some buildings would be added as you played more of the game. In my opinion, this open world set new standards. With over 200 wildlife creatures all living their own lives, NPCs the same, there are towns, cities, swamps, deserts, snow-filled mountains, and they all feel unique. It's hard to put it into words, but what I'm trying to say is that this is the most detailed and realistic world that I've ever played in. Never before has a game had such realistic movements from NPCs, or such attention to detail in such a big map. Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't just match the standards set by games like Skyrim, Witcher 3 or Kingdom Come Deliverance, it was in its own league, and it set new standards which have still not been matched even to this day. If you compare any other open world games to Rockstar's Wild West, it will always come out on top. There are also many side quests and random events that happen to the player, bounties as well, but despite there being such a high quantity of them, all of them are unique. They are voice acted and separate to any other event in the game. Whereas a lot of games like Starfield may give you the same quest from an unnamed NPC, this game gives you the same amount but each are individually handcrafted and have depth and substance. There is also many secrets to unlock, over 200 actually. There is a video on YouTube where you can see all the hidden stuff in the game, and there is so much. I've beaten this game about 5 times and I've only seen about 10 of them. That's how good and large this game is. It offers so much and yet hides even more. The open world rewarded those who explored the most, and they were constantly treated to unique cutscenes, events and other trophies. Then there's the gameplay. Red Dead Redemption 2 offers so much variety. Hunting, fishing, robbing trains, playing poker, or just riding around and soaking in the scenery. The honor system added depth, making every decision feel meaningful. And the combat? Rockstar nailed it with a mix of satisfying gunplay and brutal melee mechanics. You could interact with every single person in game, providing positive or negative dialogue, inciting a reaction. You could get arrested, you could drink at a bar, order and eat food, watch live shows, watch movies, get a haircut, have a bath, play cards. Essentially, this game gave you more options for role-playing than any other game. All of this whilst managing to provide an emotionally rich story that lasted over 50 hours in an incredible living, breathing world which reacted to everything you did. Simply put, Red Dead Redemption 2 raised the bar for what video games could achieve. It wasn't just a game, it was a groundbreaking achievement in storytelling, immersion, and world building. If I wanted to show a non-gamer what video games were capable of, I'd show them this game. Whether it's the graphics, the realism, the story, or even the freedom, this game is the one that I would show. It is currently scored as one of the greatest games of all time. To me, it wasn't just a great game, it is a moment in gaming history, the moment that the bar was raised. It should be hung up in the Museum of Gaming History. It should be studied by future developers. This is why I believe it should have won Game of the Year in 2018. It brought so much to the table, and although expectations were very high, it exceeded them by a country mile. It shouldn't just have been Game of the Year for 2018, it could win it most years. If it released even today, 5 years later, it would still stand head and shoulders above any other games. They didn't just release a 10 out of 10 game, they released the content of about 5 and packaged it into one. They didn't need to, but they did. And for me, it's a game that never outstays its welcome or fails to impress. It is a once in a lifetime game. Now, let's switch gears and talk about God of War. This game wasn't just a reboot, it was a reinvention of the entire franchise. Gone were the days of Kratos being a rage-fueled, one-dimensional character. In this game, we saw a different side of him, a father struggling to connect with his son and atone for his violent past. The story is beautifully simple. Kratos and Atreus set out to scatter the ashes of Atreus' mother, but along the way they uncover secrets about themselves, their family, and the gods who loom over them. The dynamic between Kratos and Atreus is the heart of the game. Watching their relationship evolve, from distant and cold to loving and respectful, was generally touching. The gameplay was also phenomenal. The Leviathan axe is one of the most satisfying weapons in gaming history. The combat strikes the perfect balance between strategy and raw power, with Atreus playing a vital role by supporting Kratos in battle. The semi-open world encouraged exploration, with plenty of puzzles, secrets, and side quests to keep players engaged. Visually, God of War was stunning. Each realm felt distinct, from icy peaks to fiery depths. The one-shot camera technique made the game feel like a cinematic masterpiece, seamlessly transitioning from gameplay and cutscenes. And let's not forget the emotional weight of the story. For many players, God of War resonated on a deeply personal level. Its themes of loss, redemption, and parenting struck a chord that few games ever managed to hit. So, why did it win Game of the Year? Because it was a bold reinvention that delivered on every front: story, gameplay, visuals, and emotion. For many, it was the perfect package. Now, I played it and I enjoyed it, and I know for a fact that it had a huge impact on the gaming world. Its semi-open world design, treasure chests, combat, the healing system, all of it impacted the future of gaming, and I see it in so many other games nowadays, like Dragon Age Veilguard. I absolutely understand why some consider it a fantastic game, and it is, but did it manage to reach the heights of Red Dead Redemption 2? So, here's my argument. While God of War was incredible, Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't just great, it was groundbreaking. Where God of War excelled in story and gameplay, Red Dead Redemption 2 excelled in everything. Its story wasn't just emotional, it was one of the most complex and well-written narratives in gaming history. Its world wasn't just beautiful, it was the most immersive open world ever created. And its attention to detail wasn't just impressive, it was unprecedented. Sure, God of War had emotional depth, but it was also very linear. It guided you from one incredible moment to the next. Its formula was similar from start to finish. Follow the path, defeat the enemies, figure out the puzzles, beat the boss, rinse and repeat. I'm not trying to say the game wasn't amazing or that it lacked imagination, I'm just saying it was a more straightforward game. Whereas Red Dead Redemption 2 let you carve your own journey. The freedom, the immersion, and the sheer ambition from Red Dead Redemption 2 made it a game like no other. So whilst I can admit that God of War is a great game in its own right, it only brought a fraction of what Red Dead Redemption 2 did. If you weighed up all the qualities of both, Rockstar's rendition would come out on top. Graphics, realism, open world, this game had everything. God of War ticked a lot of boxes, but in my opinion, Red Dead Redemption 2 ticked every box. In the end, Red Dead Redemption 2 was more than a game, it was an experience. One that pushed the boundaries of what video games could achieve and left a lasting impact on the industry. And for that reason, I firmly believe it deserved to win Game of the Year. But at the end of the day, I'm just a regular person with my own opinion. I've been known to be wrong once or 50 times. Red Dead Redemption 2 just caught me by surprise, and as a massive fan of open world RPGs, I felt shocked that it didn't win Game of the Year. I understand that God of War has a lot to offer, and trust me, I've played it a lot too. I enjoy that game. Is it in my top 10? No, but I would recommend it. Red Dead Redemption 2? It's in my top 3. But as a massive fan of the art of video games, I just found myself exploring and taking in this marvel of a game, having constant moments of, wow, I can't believe this. It's one of those video game experiences that make me proud to be a gamer. I can look at any other medium and say, you might have other stuff, but you don't have Red Dead Redemption 2. But anyway, look, that's it for this one, but what do you guys think? Can you think of any other great things about Red Dead Redemption 2 that I missed? Do you think it should have won Game of the Year? And if you think God of War was the correct winner, tell me why. The great thing about gaming is it's all opinion based, so no matter which you prefer, you are correct. The beauty of gaming is that we are able to share our opinions, and as it is a form of art, it will always be up to the person's interpretation. But no matter which game you choose, you cannot deny that 2018 was a great year for gaming. Man, I love video games. Anyway, let's wrap this up. If you enjoyed the video, please give it the thumbs up as it helps the video be seen by others. And if you're new here and you love gaming and see it as art like myself, please consider subscribing. I'm Av Gaming, where we do video game analysis, identifying what makes great games great and what could make good games great as well. Thanks for watching. Av out.